Apparently our show is affecting lives in so many ways. Here's another way that I think we've affected relationships. Two different emails here. One from Ryan. Ryan writes in and says, "Hey, Tom, here's my problem. My mother-in-law has persuaded my wife and kid that, quote, Daddy is bad. I got into a fight with my wife concerning her weight problem. She's 175 pounds. And I tried to talk to her sensibly about the situation. We were at her parents' house at the time eating dinner. I had noticed that she'd been eating a lot lately and had been gaining way too much weight. Her mother was telling her to eat as much as she wanted. She's fat, too. I trained myself to think the extra weight was from her pregnancy 2 years ago. But she wasn't this big in the aftermath of birth. She slowly gained the weight. So when we finished dinner, she was washing dishes. I started to bring up the fact that she had been gaining some weight. So like any other woman, she took great offense. Her getting mad made me angry. I was being nice about her being so large, and she wasn't being reasonable. She's lucky I haven't left her for a more fit girlfriend. Her mother heard us arguing and heard what I said to her. Now when they talk, she badmouths me because I'm not happy with what I have for a wife. Now, I love her, but she's got to lose the weight, and the mother has to learn to deal with me, Tom. Plus, I can't leave her because she will get half of my money. What should I do? Your apprentice, Ryan. Ryan, I think you have a right to expect to be married to the person you married. The person you married was not 175 pounds. Now, she has a right to expect things like that as well. I think a bait-and-switch situation is all wrong for a marriage. But she's going to be belligerent about being fat, and her mother is going to back her up in being belligerent about being fat. I think you have to sit down with her and tell her, look, part of having a marriage is having sex. Part of having sex means being turned on. Part of being turned on means I don't have to look at your big, fat, bloated body because I can't get aroused looking at you naked anymore. You have to be really honest about it. Then you have to say, look, I don't like it this way. I want it to be the way it was when we got together. So I'm going to give you time to do something about this. And if you don't want to do it, you and your mother can go off and I'm going to move on. Now, you say she could take half of what she's got, of what you've got. Well, I will say this. She already has half of what you've got. That's what community property is all about if you haven't signed a prenup. And on top of that, you're supporting the kids already, something you'll have to do whether you're there or you leave. You can't just stay there to keep her from getting half your money. You know that joke people tell that's only half joking, and that is, you know why divorce costs so much? Because it's worth it. Take it from me. It's worth it. Worth it. You're going to F around if you don't do this. So I really think, the point is, therapist, counseling, if she'll do that, great. If not, you have to sit down with her and tell her point blank, I can't get aroused looking at you naked anymore. And if we can't have regular sex, and if I can't be satisfied, the marriage isn't going to stand. Somehow people have gotten the idea that the other person's doing us a favor by having sex with us. That is a right of marriage. It's a right. I mean, with the exception of laws we've made against marital rape in this country, you have a right to expect to have a good sex life. And if you're not having one, you have a right to expect the other person will do anything they have to do to improve it, or that's it. That's simple. And if she has problems with anything you're doing, then you need to listen to that too. But if she's just going to be belligerent about it and that's it, I'm going to get fat and my mom's fat and I'm fat and that's fat, see ya. That's simple. Brian, writing in from Calabasas, to the north and west of where I'm standing right now, writes in and says, hello, Tom. When I met my wife 8 years ago, she weighed about 170 pounds. Despite that, she looked okay and could have been, on the generous side, a California 5. I made $30K a year, had no self-esteem, there was no Leykis 101, and I felt that was the best I could do, so I married her. How many times have I said this on the air, and it's getting through to you boys. I like that. That's why you accepted the California 5. You were making $30K a year. That's who the 5s are for. It's like every time I drive by the used car lot in my Lexus, I look over there and say, who would buy those cars? You know who would buy those cars? Everybody who can't afford a Lexus. Absolutely. You betcha, baby. Every time I'm looking at those 83 beaters, I'm telling you. This is Autos Usados. Used cars. No enganche. Every time I see those signs, I know. I know. So, yeah, clearly, I drove some of those cars in the past. Now I wouldn't. So, of course, who marries a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, or worse yet, a 1? Somebody who can't afford a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, or a 10. Anyway, Brian goes on to say here, the business I was starting at the time will do $3 million this year, and I'm currently drawing a $200,000 salary. My wife now weighs about 120 pounds. And along with constant pampering and spas and salons, is vastly approaching a California 8. By the time I'm making $500,000, I expect her to be weighing in at around 100 to 105 pounds. I have been listening to your show since you first came out in Los Angeles. My wife has heard the show a few times and, needless to say, is not a big fan. However, she knows that I am a Leykis 101 follower. This being the case, she also knows that the more money I make, the more she needs to get her ass in the gym, and the less she needs to eat in order to avoid getting traded in. I love that. Do you love that? I love that. Brian says, your teachings, Tom, have clearly had a scared straight effect on my wife, just like that program that used to scare kids out of going to jail. In fact, your course should be considered a public service program. You are the Bubba the Cellmate to the FFWA, the Future Fat Wives of America. What I was wondering was if your show has scared any other listeners' wives straight. It's a good point. I mean, I wonder how many people have had this conversation as a result of the show, like, straighten up or I'm going to get somebody more attractive, somebody thinner, somebody hotter. You know, we generally lie about that, you know. We just kind of quietly tolerate it as we watch the other person blow up like a balloon. And then when we can't get turned on anymore, we start going elsewhere. That's what we do. I believe you need to have an upfront conversation with the other person and tell them specifically, if you're a guy, I cannot maintain an erection looking at you naked. I can't do it. What are you going to do, punish me for saying this by not having sex with me? You're not punishing me. I really think you need to, like, have that kind of come-to-Jesus meeting. How many people have dealt with this issue as a result of tuning in? Please, if you're like Brian, tell me what has happened. Harmony. You're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
I agree.
Sir. Yes. You have inspired me to get into the gym, and I am so happy. I just wanted to thank you for all your education that you give me and all the boys out there.
Now tell me how I inspired you.
I just hear you talking all the time about the best way to get revenge or the best way to show people is just to do good. And I felt like I wasn't doing good, and now I am. I'm taking care of myself. I look good. I'm not quite all the way there yet, but a lot better than I was.
And are you getting hit on more now?
Oh, absolutely.
Why are women are in denial about this thing? You know, they like this woman that Brian is writing in about. Not Brian, but Ryan, the first letter writer, with the mother and the two of them reading like pigs and defending each other. It's unbelievable.
They have no idea what life can be like. It's wonderful, Tom, and your boys are great. I love Flash Friday. I'm having a great time now. I love to show them.
Thank you, Harmony.
Thank you, Tom.
Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. David on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
All right, David.
Hey, I just want to let you know, going on your topic of, your wife getting out of control and you not being able to maintain an erection. I had the same kind of thing happen to me, except for my wife. I was a listener of your show, and my wife kind of instigated it. She said I wasn't giving her enough love and affection, and she was thinking about a divorce, and she took me to a counselor, which I kind of put off for about 2 years, and finally ended up going to a marriage counselor. And I kind of sat there probably the first 4 to 6 sessions and let her say her piece, and I tried to do everything and give her love and affection and public affection and whatnot. And then I waited till it was my turn, until she was happy, and I laid it out on the table. Okay, well, this is the reason. I'm not attracted to my wife anymore. She's gained too much weight. I'm not sexually attracted to her with the weight. She blames it on the kids and stuff, or having kids. We've been married 6 years. But the reality is once I laid it out on the line and the counselor kind of agreed with me, if you put it bluntly and plainly and they agree with you, she kind of got her act in shape, and it took me actually saying it for her to actually realize what was going on.
Guys are afraid to say it because they're afraid of being penalized. They're afraid, you want to have sex with me, but what are you missing? What are you losing? So the big fat hog won't take her clothes off again, and then you have to, fudge your way to an erection.
Well, the whole time, men are, before listening to your show, nobody out there is telling them, basically that, hey, we're providing, financial stability, our end of it. Their end of it is staying in shape and looking good for us, just like we're, doing all of our end of it. I think the man's responsible for staying in shape, too, and I do, but I never would have said to her bluntly unless I had heard it on your show, and it actually makes sense the way you put it. And when you tell it, you lay it on the line and you just say, hey, this is a fact. They understand. And so, if nothing else, I'd like to encourage all your male listeners out there that are in this situation, hey, don't be a pussy, don't be afraid. Tell them like it is, and it's either going to change or it's not going to change.
Yeah, and you have to be prepared to back it up by leaving.
Yeah, if you don't say it, it's never going to change.
You're absolutely right, David. Thank you. Kaba, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi. I just want to say that it's really disgusting that once women find a man and get married, they think, time to let go. And they're like balloon up to 400 pounds.
Right.
That's not the way it is. You have to stay fit and in shape to keep your man happy.
Because women know in this country that the divorce laws are set up so that if we try to leave, they'll take half of everything we've got.
Oh, hell yeah.
So then they, now that they've got our ATM cards, and now that they've got our checking accounts, and now that they've got our credit cards, and now that they can spend our money, and now that they know that they will get half of what we have, and now that they know they don't have to, try to get a guy because they've got us, they don't feel any incentive to keep it together. But the reality is competition never ends. It never ends. Just because you're married doesn't mean there isn't competition.
I lost weight. I'm 5'11", and I weighed 175. I'm now down to 140, 135. I'm still trying to lose weight. It's disgusting. How can you be 300 freaking pounds and have a really hot guy and take that away from the rest of us? It's just
Well, you won't be taking him away taking him away from the rest of you, because what will end up happening is that guy will start getting it elsewhere.
Oh, that's true.
That's what will happen.
And then they're all surprised. Why would you do this to me? I thought you loved me.
Why?
You're a pig.
Why are you doing this to me? I thought you loved me. As one of my exes once said to me. Why are you doing this to me?
And they don't seem to get it. If you're a pig, no one's going to want you.
You are right, Cubba. Thank you. Kate on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, I'm calling from Seattle to let you know, I don't know how long you've been on the air, but 10 years ago, before I married my husband, he told me, if you get fat, I'm going to dump you. And before we got married, he had me sign a prenup. And I'll tell you, after 2 kids, I weigh less than I did before. And it just oh, it just cranks me when I hear these women on your show, and you say, well, why are you a fat pig? And they say, well, I have 2 kids.
That's right.
It blows my mind. So, once again, you are right on. We both listen to you, and our relationship has gotten so much better, and we recommend you to people.
Good.
And thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. Billy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, man, what's happening?
Not much, Billy.
Yeah, I'm separated from my wife right now because I had the cojones to tell her how it was. We hadn't had sex but, less than a dozen times in the past couple of years because she just got so rat nasty, man.
Mm-hmm. So, what'd you do?
I got an apartment. I moved out.
That's it. And did she act surprised?
No, it was her idea because she was so pissed off that I wasn't giving it to her anymore. She gets fat and gets mad at me because I'm not attracted to her.
Because you're supposed to help people be in denial when they're fat. You're supposed to pretend it's not true.
I just can't understand that.
Like they do.
Thinking.
So, did you divorce her, or you were not married? You were just dating this woman.
No, we've been married. We're getting a divorce.
You're getting the divorce now because she's fat.
That's not the whole only reason, but that's the big bomb that was dropped.
Big. It's very big.
I guess that's basically what it boils down to, because like I said, because we quit having sex is what made her build up all this resentment, and in the meantime, my resentment kept building, and there you go.
Wow. And now you're getting hotter, thinner chicks, I take it.
I don't know yet. Still married, man.
So this just happened?
Yeah, I mean, within days.
Wow.
When I heard you say that nobody's ever got the balls to just come right out and say it, I had to call because I did it.
I'm proud of you, Billy. Proud to have you as a listener, too. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. More of your telephone calls are coming up. This is Mark on the Tom Leykis Show.
Mr. Leykis.
Yes, sir.
I like you, even though I think you got your head up you know what.
My ass?
Yeah, that's right, up your ass.
You
got your head so far up your ass that you wouldn't, I don't know. My point is this.
Better than having my head up your wife's ass.
Tom, okay, I'm going to take the nice approach. Let's say you find a girl of your dreams, or you maybe have 10 of them already, but one that you truly fall in love with, right? And then suddenly you guys have a kid, but I know you don't want any kids. The bottom line is she gets caught in a car accident, and she's got...
Who's talking about car accidents here?
I just want to get...
99% of the chicks who get fat did not do it because of a car accident.
What are we supposed to do if you got a girl that maybe she's all burnt up? You're supposed to just drop her and leave her now?
Again, you know what? You're talking about such an infinitesimal number of people.
Yeah, but
what? Look, come on. What if your girlfriend was an alien from outer space?
Yeah, come on. Idiots out there listening to you right now. They're going to think about leaving their ugly-looking wife.
They're already thinking about it. And by the way, speaking of boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives who are in car accidents, we've done that as a show. And you know what? The majority of people, both genders, said that, well, they'd stay for a while, but after a while, they'd be out.
Yeah, what a sorry person who can leave somebody like that.
Guess what? There's a lot of people doing it.
You know what? There ain't no light at the end of that tunnel, buddy, and you want to go down that way, you be my guest.
Well, again, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about women who are 117 pounds when they get married, and then they're 175 pounds and belligerent about it. That's what we're talking about.
So if your mom was fat, would you want your dad to leave your mom?
If my dad couldn't get it up, yeah, why not?
You say, hey, Mom, I'm sorry.
That's part of the deal. You know what? Being able to have a sex life is part of the deal. And you know what? There's nothing politically correct about what arouses us. What arouses us is somebody who is trim and fit and looks good with clothes off.
Yeah.
That's the fact, Jack.
Just hope your mom don't get fat.
My mom is dead.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But you listeners out there, wisen up. Leykis is not as good as he thinks he is.
All right, well, you sure told me. Guy's in complete denial. You have a right to expect to be sexually aroused by the person you are with. You have a right to expect that. If they are not arousing you, you have a right to say to them, I'm not aroused anymore. And I needed to get back to where it was, and here's what we need to do. And if that person doesn't want to cooperate, I think you have a right to get out. What's wrong with that? 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Becky on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, I had this type of thing happen to me. My husband kept on telling me I needed to lose weight, and I didn't think I did. And I walked into the living room as he was setting up a video cam for his work. It's like 10:30 at night, and I'm thinking that I'm going to be all hot and seduce him. I saw myself, was shocked, and decided to do something about it.
What did you see?
Basically a fat chick.
A fat chick doing what?
Trying to be all sexy, but it just didn't work.
Wow.
And one of the things that my husband kept telling me, and I really balked at this. I kept telling him that I wanted him to be sensitive, to touch me all nice, and he was saying, okay, I want you to look good. You're wanting me to change the way I do things, but you're unwilling to change what you do. And that really got me, especially after, seeing myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, what a wake-up call. So then I did lose about 25 pounds, and I still have some to go, but I'm not like I was.
Wow. But, okay, but you learned the hard way that you had to make these changes.
Oh, yeah. When your husband keeps telling you, why are you not losing weight for me? And thinking, why should I lose weight for you? I need to do it for me.
That's not true. You need to do it for him.
Exactly.
Because you know what? For you, here's what you're doing for you. Cheesecake, Haagen-Dazs, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or whatever, your pleasure. That's what you're doing for you.
Right. And then
losing weight is not something you care to do for you.
And if I did want to eat those things, then I better exercise to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, what do you want? Do you want a marriage that actually both of you enjoy, or are you going to be miserable for the rest of your life?
Well, I think that the way it works is most women terrorize men into not saying anything about this.
Oh, yeah.
And so we go underground.
And my husband...
we get sex elsewhere. That's what we do. I hope the women know this.
Yeah, well, and I have seen it in so many times with my friends, and I just kind of say, that's why your husband had an affair. That's why, this guy left you. I mean... if you lose weight, and they don't want to hear it from you either. I mean, I don't have those friends anymore. Well, yeah, you are kind of overweight, and they don't want to hear it.
Good points, Becky. Thank you for the call. This is Lupe. Lupe, you're on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Do you care?
Actually, yes, I do. How are you?
I'm doing great, Lupe.
Well, I've always thought that a woman needs to look good for her man. I'm a Latina, and I see a lot of women that just let themselves go. They have, 3 kids, and they get out fat, and then they wonder why their men stray, why they look at other women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dating I don't know if I can say this, but a white boy. And
of course you can say that. Is he white?
Yeah, he's white.
All right, then you can say it.
He always calls me his hot Latina because that's how I am in bed and out of bed. Mm-hmm. My main thing is to pleasure him, especially in bed, and I want him to desire me and want me, and it works both ways. I totally agree with you. I would say with 90% of what you say, but not 100% of the stuff that you say.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I agree.
Wow. Well, your man's a lucky man. What can I say?
Yeah, and the thing is, we've been going on for 2 years, and it's just getting better. Everything's getting better. So
good.
Yeah. So hopefully he won't trade me in for a 25-year-old when I'm 40. But
well, you got to try to keep looking like a 25-year-old. That's how you keep that from happening.
Yeah, exactly. Take care of myself. So
good for you. All right, Lupe. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. Gene on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm glad I got through to you. I've been listening to your show now for a couple of years at my husband's suggestion. We're currently separated. I moved out in August. And a lot of the issues we talked about today hit right on. But my point of view is the guys that won't take responsibility for their not holding up their side of the relationship. And then my husband in particular, uses you as an excuse why it's okay, and he cannot look in the mirror and he can't see his role in it.
What is it he doesn't do?
Well, in our relationship in particular, when I met him, he was an actor that did well in his younger years and hasn't really worked much since, and kind of feels like the world owes him something. When I met him, I had no problem with that. I knew he had some issues, but he was a beautiful human being, just very kind of out of sorts and needs some help at the
Sounds like he's got baggage galore.
A lot of baggage. Tons of baggage. I really thought I was prepared. I thought we loved each other so much, and we were prepared to go into therapy if we needed to. I made the money. I had the steady job. He was fine with it. As his life kind of started to fall apart, and he realized that money just didn't grow on trees, and he no longer had any, he put the pressure on me. He stood at it.
Yeah, we lost her. Damn. Elizabeth, you're on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I think I might lose you here for a second there, Tom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm calling for the exact reason that the previous caller was. I was really disappointed I didn't get to hear her finish. Except mine doesn't involve the money issue. It involves the little spare tire that my boyfriend has around his middle. Mm-hmm. Not to change things around too much, but not to be vain or too specific or hard on a person, but he didn't have it when I met him, and subsequently it's been kind of creeping up on me, and I'm finding myself just not finding it as attractive as it used to be.
Do you tell him that?
Yes, I do, but it's kind of hard to tell someone that who's really sweet and loving and can't say anything bad about you personally. I mean, even if I was to gain a couple pounds here or there, which I'm really, really conscious of not doing, it never seems to bother him.
I still think you're better off telling him.
Well, we've done little subtle things. I go to the gym together, gone on this little zone diet together, and I've...
Yeah, but that stuff never lasts.
No. Do you have any suggestions on how you might point it out to someone without hurting their feelings?
Yeah, well, you can't. You can't do that without hurting someone's feelings. Right. You have to hurt their feelings.
Because I feel like now it's to the point where I would absolutely never leave them, and I'm not actually fond of people who need someone to be perfect either. Like living in Los Angeles, you see people with genetically modified bodies, and they're a little too much. And I'm also not attracted to someone who's sculpted and overdone and muscular either. But I'm talking about just keeping the leanness or the physique that you had upon the initial.
Well, what kind of relationship do you have if you can't speak openly and honestly about anything?
You're right. Just any suggestions on how you might, like he goes to the gym, and he's by no means rotund. It's just I'm finding myself reminiscing about the old boyfriend.
Well, what is it? He eats too much?
Not really. It might just be a lifestyle. It could be a little bit of drinking, not working out properly at the gym.
Well, why don't you, the two of you, hire a personal trainer at least once in a while?
You know, he had one last summer.
And?
I'm not sure if it didn't quite come to fruition, but it yielded a little bit of a result, but I don't think he quite got it.
I don't know. I have a personal trainer. I've lost 28 pounds.
Wow.
I work out 3-4 days a week, and it works for me. And nobody thinks anything would work for me, but it does work. But you got to go do the work.
Okay. Well, it's true. I mean, I feel a bit guilty because I've found myself falling into the trap of reminiscing about an older boyfriend who didn't have any skin hanging from anywhere that wasn't supposed to be.
Right, but you never had to pick up his socks, did you?
No.
Right, so you only got the good part. The sex, the looking at it with his shirt off, the going out to dinner or spending a weekend with him sometime. But you never had to clean up his racing stripes off the sheets or anything. You never had to pick up his socks. You don't know what it would have been like. You know what? That's a comparison no boyfriend or husband can ever win.
I know, it's terrible.
The guy, the beautiful man who you banged, who never lived with you, who you never had to have a long conversation with, who never had any hopes or dreams with you, he just intended to, the two of you would use each other for sexual pleasure.
Yeah, he wouldn't even
and you did.
Conversation.
That guy your husband can never compete with him. It's not a fair fight.
No, I know, but what I was saying is I feel guilty thinking back to, not necessarily
You didn't just think back to that, you told him about it.
No, I didn't tell him about it.
I thought you said you told him.
No, I'm sorry. I find myself looking back to it thinking this area where the things are hanging.
Well, you need to tell him that you think that you about the times you've thought back to when the two of you first knew each other.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And how great that was.
Mm-hmm.
And how you want it to be like that again. And that if it means he has to have a personal trainer twice a week or 3 times a week, you're willing to make the financial sacrifice. You're willing to go with him. You're willing to find out how to make meals that will help him.
That's true. Time management is a factor, too, because he's never home.
Well, you know what? Maybe he needs somebody to put food in a Ziploc bag for him every day in pre-measured portions. You know what? Maybe that's what he needs. And if you want this that badly, how about you get involved in it?
Oh, no, I'm very actively involved. I'm just saying I feel really guilty about it.
Well, there's nothing to feel guilty about. You have a right to expect that he's going to look good.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you want and that's what turns you on. I must tell you, there are some women who don't care as much.
No, you're right. And we're talking about 20 pounds, 15 pounds.
All right. But if that's an issue for you, you need to tell him. You don't have to be mean to him, but you also do need to be honest with him. You got to be honest with him. That's my recommendation to you. It's Stephen. Hello.
Hey, Tom. First time on your radio show.
Cool.
I think married people make marriage vows that make an implicit promise. And I think the promise is, I promise not to give up. And it means I promise not to go to hell. I promise not to get a big fat ass.
But a minimum, a minimum of half the people who take wedding vows are lying because they get divorced.
I've been married 12 years, and I know some part of it's just plain old luck of finding the right person. But when we were courting, we both sat down and had talked till 2 in the morning one night about what we call our non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
And we said it. You know what? I expect to be in love with you. I expect to doink all the time. I expect you to be hungry for my bod. I expect to be hungry for yours. If I wanted a roommate, I'd put up a sign and take money. And it's worked. And this Christmas, in my stocking, I get a 2-year membership
to a health club.
The Tom Leykis Show. Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis.
I would rather lose a testicle than miss your show.
Why, thank you for that.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.